My wife left me for her ex 3 weeks after our wedding. Now she's back, pregnant. But I said something that shattered her world. Let me tell you something that still feels unreal, even now. We were married for 24 days. Just 24. Not even long enough to return all the duplicate wedding gifts. Not long enough to get our names changed on joint accounts. But long enough to shatter my view of love for good. Let's call her Clara. 27. Beautiful, bright, the kind of person who lights up a room without trying. I'm 31, and I thought I was the luckiest guy alive. We met through mutual friends at a concert 3 years ago. She laughed at my terrible dance moves, and I made fun of her for crying during a guitar solo. We were inseparable after that. We moved in together 6 months later, bought a rescue dog, and spent 2.5 years building a life together. No red flags, no drama. We did everything by the book. We weren't impulsive. Hell, we even went to premarital counseling, not because we needed it, but because Clara wanted to start strong. I proposed during a trip to Big Sur, on a cliff during sunset. She sobbed so hard I couldn't even finish my speech. We got married this past spring. It was everything we dreamed of. Small vineyard, our dog in a little tux, tears during vows. I remember standing there thinking, this is it. I finally did something right. I had no idea I was already losing her. It started 19 days later. Clara began acting distant. Said she was just processing the wedding whirlwind. Fair enough. We'd just come back from Italy and were both jet-lagged. But then she started working late. Staying out with friends. Getting weirdly protective of her phone. She used to toss it on the couch and forget about it. Now it was practically fused to her hand. I knew something was up, but I told myself I was overthinking. Maybe she just needed space after all the wedding intensity. But then I came home early from work one Thursday. She wasn't expecting me. She was in the living room. Talking softly on speakerphone to a guy. I didn't catch much, but I heard one name that made my stomach drop. Eli. Her ex. The same guy who dumped her 4 years ago when he got a music contract in New York. The guy who ghosted her when she begged to visit. The guy whose name I hadn't heard in over 2 years. I walked into the room. She jumped like I'd slapped her. Hung up immediately. Then she said it. It's not what it sounds like. Spoiler, it was. By Saturday, she dropped the bomb. I think I need time to figure out what I really want. Eli's back in town. He's changed. He reached out and I owe it to myself to see what this is. I remember staring at her, trying to compute what I was hearing. We'd just gotten married. We hadn't even sent out thank you cards. You're leaving me to date your ex? No, she said, like I was being dramatic. Just taking space. To get clarity. She moved out the next day. Said she'd stay with her sister. I later found out she went straight to Eli's loft. She didn't even take all her things. I got a lawyer. I'm lucky. Clara had insisted we keep finances separate until the first anniversary. She hadn't touched the house deed or my car. Her name wasn't on anything, because it was just safer that way, she said. Well, thank God. My lawyer advised we file immediately on the grounds of abandonment. Since she left voluntarily and we'd been married for less than 30 days, the court treated it like a short-term union. We filed, and I stayed in the house. She didn't contest it. At the time, I think she was too infatuated with Eli. Or maybe she was just confident she'd come back and I'd be waiting. Spoiler again, I wasn't. Her family was livid. Her mom called me crying when she found out we filed for divorce, told me I was being hasty. That young people make mistakes. That Clara just needed closure. Her dad called me a coward for not fighting for her. Even her younger brother, who I'd mentored for years, texted me, "You're giving up that easy. WTF, man?" I didn't respond to any of them. I'd fought hard, for 3 years. I didn't walk away. I got pushed. But here's the twist. About 8 weeks after she left, I started getting texts from Clara again. Just small ones at first. Hey. Been thinking about you. Do you still take Max on walks at 7? Can we talk? I didn't reply. I was still furious. Still gutted. But mostly, I was healing. Then last Friday happened. I came home from work. Max was barking at the front door. I opened it and there she was. Clara. Hair messy. Pale. Shaking slightly. Holding a manila envelope. She didn't say anything at first. Just handed it to me. I opened it. Paternity test. She was pregnant. 12 weeks. The conception date matched the last week we were together. I just stood there, staring at the paper. She started crying. Told me she'd found out a month ago but didn't have the courage to say anything. That Eli had cheated on her with some girl from his studio. That he moved back to New York. That he blocked her. That she had nowhere else to go. That she wanted to come home. What I said next broke her. I asked her one question. Would you be here if you weren't pregnant? She froze. I asked again. She opened her mouth, but nothing came out. Just more tears. That told me everything. I said, calmly, you didn't choose me. You chose him. You only came back because you got burned and needed someone soft to land on. I made a mistake, she whispered. No. You made a choice. Now I'm making mine. Then I stepped back, closed the door, and left her standing there. Her family? They went nuclear. Her mom sent me a wall of text, calling me heartless and immature. Her dad left me a voicemail saying a real man takes responsibility for his child. Her sister posted some vague nonsense on Instagram. It's crazy how fast people forget who love them most. But here's the thing, they weren't the ones picking up the pieces when she left. They didn't watch her walk away while I begged her to reconsider. They didn't hold Max when he waited by the door for days. Here's where I'm at now. Yes, the baby's mine. I'll be involved. I've already talked to a lawyer about setting up a co-parenting agreement. I won't abandon my kid, but I also won't set myself on fire to keep Clara warm. I'm seeing someone new, actually. Quiet, kind, no drama. We're taking it slow, but she knows about everything. The best part? My house, my dog, my peace, they're still mine. She left early. She left foolishly. And when she came crawling back, it was already too late. So yeah. My wife left me 3 weeks after our wedding for her ex. She came back 2 months later, pregnant and crying. But what I said shattered her world. I told her the truth. Loyalty isn't something you remember only when life falls apart. And then I walked away.